Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Winnipeg Jets and the recent trade rumors that have come up. There's a lot to talk about today, including Brendan Dillon trade rumors, Andrew Copp trade rumors, and even Mark Scheifele trade rumors. Before we get into the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, it really helps me out. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So to start, we're going to talk about the Brendan Dillon trade rumors. Brendan Dillon was traded to Winnipeg last offseason for 2 second-round picks. With the Jets needing a top 4 D-man in the offseason, it was a really good trade at the time, but for whatever reason, Brendan Dillon hasn't been able to settle down in Winnipeg. He just hasn't been the guy that he was in Washington. He's been partnered with Neil Pionk for the majority of the season, and it really just hasn't worked out. So with guys pushing behind him who are left-handed defensemen like Declan Chisholm, Ville Heinola, and Dylan Samberg, all of a sudden Brendan Dillon is expendable. Now, at the time, I didn't think there was a lot of likelihood that Dillon could move. I thought there was a chance, maybe if somebody blew the Jets out of the water with an offer. But it looks like the Jets are going to look at trading Brendan Dillon, especially with the news coming from Frank Scheifele. He compared the Brendan Dillon trade market to that of Ben Chiarot. Looks like Chiarot is going to go for a first-round pick, maybe with a little bit more attached if it turns into a bidding war. But if the Jets are able to get a first-round pick, and that's it for Brendan Dillon, that is absolutely a no-brainer move. The Jets would clear $3.8 million in cap for the next 2 years, as he's got 2 years left on his deal after this one. And not only that, but it would allow the youth to play this season and get them ready and comfortable for next season and let them grow into what they could be. Dylan Samberg looked great when Brendan Dillon was hurt with Neil Pionk. I thought they together looked way better than the Dillon and Pionk pairing. But we'll see what happens, and at this point it's just rumors, but if the Jets are able to pull off a trade and get a first-round pick or a second and a prospect, that would be extremely ideal and would really set them up well for next season. Now we'll move on to the Andrew Copp trade rumors. Andrew Copp is a guy that is a UFA after the season, and it doesn't look like the Jets have tried to talk any contract extension with him, and it looks like that they will trade him. Not a ton of news here concerning Andrew Copp in terms of what his market could be, but it looks like the New York Rangers, the Boston Bruins, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs, Washington Capitals, and the Edmonton Oilers are all very interested in him. At this point, I think any team is pretty lucky to have an Andrew Copp on their team. He's a versatile player that can play anywhere in your lineup, any way you want him to play, really. He's a really good offensive player, he's a really good defensive player, he can kill penalties, you can put him on the power play. So his versatility is definitely his biggest strength, and I do think that he is a fantastic player to put anywhere in your lineup that you want to plug and play and do what you want him to do, and he'll do it. With the trade deadline at the time of recording this about a month away, I don't think there is a ton of certainty of what Andrew Copp's market could be, but if I were to guess, I'd probably say a second-round pick and maybe a prospect, maybe a B-level prospect, but I'm not too sure on that. You guys leave your comments below on what you think Andrew Copp's market could be. So now we're going to talk about the Mark Scheifele trade rumors, which is a little bit strange to talk about, but it's definitely something that could happen. Now, it doesn't seem that Scheifele is going to be available at the trade deadline because a lot of teams can't really do a big move in the middle of the year. The offseason is a lot easier to do that. Scheifele's value will be a lot more in the offseason when more teams are able to bid on him. Frank Scheifele was quoted saying, "There are rumblings of this being Mark Scheifele's last season in Winnipeg. I think it is probably premature, but not guaranteed. He's a deadline conversation. Sense is that the situation is coming to a head. What that means, I don't know." So Mark Scheifele, currently 28, will be 29 in May, and if you really look at it, now would be the perfect time, if there ever was one, to move Mark Scheifele. The reason I say that is because right now Scheifele's value would be through the roof. A 29-year-old first-line center with a very nice team-friendly contract, under $7 million, that doesn't really happen that often. So let's say a team's willing to give up a first-round pick, maybe a second or a third, with a prospect and a player involved. If that deal does come to a head, I don't see how the Jets can turn that down. So Scheifele at the end of his contract would be 31, and he's going to want to re-up. He got through to this point with a pretty decent, pretty team-friendly contract, and I really think that he's going to try to get his payday in for sure. Up until this season, he's been Mr. Consistent, pretty much scoring at a point-a-game pace for his entire career. This year it's been a little different. As of late, he has heated up a little bit, but as of right now, it has been a pretty disappointing season for Mark Scheifele. So if Scheifele goes out there and gets a big deal with the Jets, I'm guessing it's probably going to be 5 to 6 years at probably north of $8.5 million. I'm guessing more around the $9 million range. And at that point in his career, that might be okay for a season or two if he is to bounce back. But I don't have a lot of confidence that Mark Scheifele is going to be a point-a-game player until he's 37 years old. But with that said, I do think Mark Scheifele is a very important piece to the Jets, and I don't think the Jets will move him just off a whim because they want to get rid of him. But if there is a big piece or a big trade that somebody offers, I do think that the Jets would be pretty stupid not to at least look at it and recognize the situation that they are in right now. The Jets are in a big make or break place decision-wise right now. I mean, if you get a first for Brendan Dillon, let's say that's all they get back, and then you get a second and a prospect for Copp, and then in the offseason you say, okay, we are going to move on from Mark Scheifele, and you pick up maybe a first, maybe a second or a third in there as well, a really good prospect, and maybe even a roster player. I mean, that's a big shift from where you are right now, but I do think that would benefit the Jets in the future. You'd have all the picks to play with, whether you want to take prospects with them, or you want to trade those picks to re-up the roster, revamp the roster. And I think that revamping the roster is very important right now for the Jets, because I don't think that this group has the ability to go on a long cup run. I think those days have passed, and I just think that this is the big moment that the Jets have right in their lap right now where they could really turn around this team and propel them to being a contending team again. Alright everyone, so those have been the Jets rumors from this past week. If any of you guys have any comments or anything that you think will happen during the deadline or in the offseason, just let me know. Do you think that we should move on from any of these guys? Do you think it would be smart to keep all of them? Just let me know in the comments. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day everyone.